You're live.
Hockey Nation fans, welcome back to the Hockey Nation live show with Coach Frenchy directly from the booth. And of course, we have to go right now to the West Coast, California, to find out Mr. Michael Devillano directly from where?
I'm in Newport Beach.
In Newport Beach, here we go. Because he's a Mr. Traveler. He travels all around the country sometimes. So, November 9, 2020, Michael, we have, back on a Monday now, we have another great show today, and cannot be more excited to have to be here today because we're going to talk about the Montreal Canadiens, where it's going to be very interesting for me to put my 2 cents around that team for sure. And also, we have not many breaking news around the NHL since Friday. Only one signature, and it's not mentioned nowhere. Like, you have to look deeper. Like, there's not many.
It's like brief.
They have only Jimmy Trisdale from the Anaheim Ducks signing an entry-level contract this weekend. They have anything else? Nowhere. Like, not minor. At least what I don't know otherwise. But there's only one. For Anaheim Ducks is a good thing because they signed up this last week the 2 first pick over the first round pick for them. The next one, the other one was the 27th overall pick was Jacob Perreault, another entry level contract. So we'll see. I think. Do you believe both of them can make it?
No, I don't think either one will make it. They will eventually make it, but not. I think the problem is, will the AHL play? And if it doesn't play, will the OHL play? And if the OHL plays, will they only play 30 games?
Yeah. They have a mini, first of all, I believe both of them could be at the World Championship.
Drysdale will be. Perreault very much, probably likely will.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest problem is the volume of games they're going to get this year and their development. So I have to think that this is the thought is that will there be expanded rosters for the teams, and will teams carry younger guys and develop them that way? Because I think that those are both, 2 very high-end prospects that in a year or two could be on the team and should be on the team. But if you waste a year, then, they're already wasting their year. Normally they'd be playing. So
yeah.
I think, NHL teams are very concerned. So that's probably what these signings mean, is my guess.
Yeah, would be very interesting about that because not only those 2 Ks, but many other, they are the same boat, right? And any other team, they have their junior players, and, the American Hockey League did not start before February.
I'm not sure they'll play. I'm really questioning if any of these teams will play.
It'll be very interesting about the next couple of weeks about that. We know NHL tried to start in January, and everything like that is very quiet. I heard from somewhere this weekend, I heard we should have some things going on the next 10 days about the NHL.
I think the NHL is probably fine. They've already shown that they can do a bubble. I think they can come up with a modified, site plan that'll work out whether they have fans or not. Is there a TV contract in place?
The TV contract will be there for 1 more year.
Okay, so then they're fine. I think the NHL is not the issue, but other OHL, WHL, Q they don't make the money on digital or TV. And
talking about the QM, the Quebec team was on the red zone, did not do anything. Then they have they sign up to go to the November 18, I believe, to the 27. That's 11 days, right? Or 9 days, 11 days. I think it's a little bit longer, or maybe the 18 to 29. They have a bubble like showcase example. They're going to play 6 games in 11 days, and they bring 7 teams during those days. So when it's going to be in Quebec City at the new I don't know if they call it Pepsi Center. I'm not remember the name of this one.
That team needs an NHL, like that arena needs an NHL team.
Yeah, they need something inside the building because they build and they don't have any things going on over there.
That arena's amazing.
It's good to see that the Maritime team never stopped to do that. That's another thing, right? So we'll see what all around, like, junior and and East Coast, and the East Coast supposed to start earlier, and then we heard this weekend a couple of college Americans start to play hockey. So that'll be another interesting to see that. So we are all on the waiting or whatever is going on around the world about hockey. But we'll see.
Fine in Europe, apparently.
Yeah, honestly, that's the only place right now. You have a lot of American player or the team player go there, right? So
Detroit. Detroit. First of all, you realize how many Swedish prospects they have, and even guys like Veleno and Rasmussen are over in Europe. And I think it's a smart idea. Like, keep those guys playing. They're playing when their guys aren't.
Yeah, definitely, that's the right things to do. Talking, we don't have a lot of news around NHL, honestly, but we have two sad news happening yesterday, the same day. But let's start with someone, because honestly, you're born and originally from Toronto area. Maybe you can talk more about Owe Meeker. 97 years old. Passed away yesterday. The former Maple Leaf players won the. I was surprised to hear that. Like, he won the Calder Trophy in 46-47, Stanley Cup 4 times, and you remind him more about the hockey night in Canada analyst. Honestly, that's where he became an icon in NHL around the league, and everybody know about him. Whatever you play for other team or you knew about him, maybe Sherry and McLean make the hockey night and hockey night in Canada, but I think he has a part of this really well, Mr. Meeker.
I mean, Howie Meeker is a legend of the game, a gentlemanly man. I met him at Wayne Gretzky's Hockey Hall of Fame induction, and he was already older then, and he shook my hand, and he's got this square hand that's just, envelops your hand. But he's, very, like, solid but soft. So this guy's like, when you meet guys and they say they have nice mitts.
Yeah.
That was Howie Meeker. He was obviously a very successful hockey player. He won 4 cups. He won the Calder. He was an all-star. And then he went on and he became like a general manager and a coach. And I think his biggest legacy to me, and he was a Hockey Night in Canada analyst, just loved the game, right? And then I think his biggest legacy to me were the hockey camps and the videos. He did hockey camps and videos for kids and taught them how to skate, develop skills. And his camps, if you go back and watch those videos, I think you probably find them on YouTube. It's like, grainy, but you're like, wow, these are great. Like, he wants to keep kids moving. He wants to keep kids with pucks on their sticks. He's got coaches, and it's kind of funny to see how they goad the kids and stuff. But it's like awesome. Like, he was just such a great impact on the game. And I don't know if you know, he was also a member of parliament for the Progressive Conservative Party. So he was a politician. I mean, this guy did everything. He was such a great person, though. I mean, I think it's really sad that he's going to be gone.
He was one. He was very friendly with. I remember, like, he talked a lot about this many stories, and with the referee Red. What's his last name? I'm sorry,
Kelly or Horner.
I'm talking about the referee Red. Harry Red Foster. So they did a lot of things together for the Special Olympic Canada.
Oh yeah, right.
Yep, for over 50 years he was involved together about that one over there. So you can see sometimes people don't leave only their legacy on the ice, but also off of the ice. But I think whatever we talk about people like like Jean Béliveau and those people, impact people outside the ice, off ice. And I think that's one on his ways, not only, some stay in the game to do it like management, everything like that. He make his name by, Saturday night hockey night, and then also by involved with other charity, everything like that. So you can see how his heart was for other people, and that's make him who he was. And
he's a wonderful person.
Very, 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 very wonderful, and great person. And and for the Canada, is going to be missed for sure. And it was amazing. 97 years old, and wish the best for the family, and wish the condolences for the family, of course. But talking about passed away and someone left, we have another one, and I think it's I think for him, for me, it's more about when you talk about legendary people and people make a like we just mentioned. I think this guy leave respect. Talk about professionalism, and what he did for 47 years maybe. I think I don't know how many years he was the coach of that one over there, and he was still doing this the time he was out of the was sick. Everything that you can see how he was. Alex Trebek, honestly, we talk about him. Honestly, he was born in Canada. Honestly, he was, I believe,
Sudbury.
Yep, exactly. And it's another one where he lived a legacy by his professionalism, how he worked, and it was his passion behind everything. And that's another one where it was really kind, nice to the people, and he had that kind of relationship a little bit with the Ottawa Senators. Honestly, he been there many games, everything like that. So, and it was nice because he not promote hockey, but he was going to do something sometime about hockey on the Geobarry on his show. You know what I mean? You have a lot of questions about hockey, like any other show, because he really love hockey. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he was obviously a legend of the world for Jeopardy. To your point, like he always had like a toe in hockey, and I think especially during the Wayne Gretzky era in Los Angeles, he was definitely connected to a lot of the celebrities who started to get involved in hockey because Wayne Gretzky went to LA, and he's always been like a lifelong supporter of a lot of different charities. It's kind of crazy that this guy came from Sudbury, which is a mining town, and then he goes to the University of Ottawa. And his dad was a chef. His dad was a chef from the Ukraine, so an immigrant to Canada, and for him to become what he became, and I loved how he announced the draft pick for Ottawa.
Yeah. My way, that's another way. You know what I mean? Like October 6th, he did that for Ottawa. Was shocking, surprised everybody, and because it was the Zoom situation, you know what I mean, online and everything like that. And he's, he's a one, not a famous on hockey, but famous on the Hollywood and on TV. So that was really maybe one of the top best relationship with all the players, all the management, all coach. You know what I mean? He was really close with many, many people in NHL, and 80 years old, and he's still doing his same thing, and just amazing. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it's sad because we always wait when someone passes away to talk about those kind of people and realize after he passed away what he accomplished and what they did, and not during the time they was alive. We can talk more about those kind of people. Both of them is an icon, legendary, and you can go all the way with that part over there. And it's amazed me to see those people still do whatever their age, still love it and passionate about this, and carry on this all the time, every single day. And that's all about him. That's Alex.
Did you ever? I don't know if when you were growing up, he always did the World Vision Canada commercials.
Yep.
And I always remember him for that, and highlighted the work that they do around the world. And I think he did a bunch of other ones, but that was the one I always remembered him for. And I think it's another sad loss of a Canadian that had a big impact.
Yep. That's another one right there. So, it was a sad day yesterday, November 8th, about, two legendary, passed away did their marks on fun ways, but leave, an impact to many people, young or older, you know what I mean? Like in Toronto area, and everybody know this Owe, honestly, you know what I mean? And Alec, everybody knows, and on TV forever, you know what I mean? So really sad day, but at the end of the day, we just want to wish condolences to everybody, for the family, but also say thank you, because without them, You know what I mean? Like they leave us some, they make a difference. That's how it's about it. And we always remember the memories of people leave, and that's what they did. And it was a great time to know more about what they did, what they bring to the game. So thank you for so much for what they did.
Yeah, he was a great person, and he will be missed.
Definitely. Not much about that part. I just want to mention to you a little bit because we're on that area over there. Um, I want to talk a little bit about Toronto, where you'll be surprised about this. Well, I did not know that one. I know you're going to bring this in the next couple of days about Toronto but they have an article about something like they want to use 2 forward 3Ds.
What?
Yeah, so they try to create this, like they believe in the next 5 years he's going to have many Ds become like really offensive players, and they will use like 3Ds up and down. It's already see a lot of teams do this, right? Like they could be under the forward, but they play 3D blue line and then too low, everything like that. So Shelton, talk about this a bit last weekend with his assistant coach on the Marlins, everything like that. But I want to mention this about the Toronto. I did not know that until I see the name this morning, and I have no clue. And you're going to tell me if you heard about this. Did you know like Alexander Barabanov was with this team?
Who?
Alexander Barabanov. The Russian played with the St. Louis Blues 2 years ago when they won the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, they signed Barbanov. Remember I was saying to you before, like, so they had Mikheyev, but they also signed Barbanov.
And so here's what they have right now, okay? Because they signed Jimmy VC, right?
Yeah, that's why I was like, why? Because you already got Barbanov.
Now, yeah, example, put him on the third line with Thornton and Kerfoot. Then you have Barabanov with Spacer and Wayne Simon, example. But look what they have after that. Pierre Engvall, Nicholas Robertson, Joey Anderson, Travis Boy, Dennis Malkin, Nick Pidden, Igor Korshnikov, Philip Allender, Adam Brooks, and Kenny Okostisno. So they have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 players behind this part.
Nah, I don't know what's going on. I mean, they're obviously going for depth. They're anticipating back-to-back games. They're looking at, I mean, if you look at Tampa, it was like how Tampa we'd watch and guys would swatch out of the lineup and they'd be fresh and they'd be like, well, that guy's playing well too. And I think that's what they're thinking, which is, we have a bunch of guys that'll roll off. They'll disappear, excuse me, after this season. And we're preparing for a deep playoff run. And that's what this is all about. It's about back-to-back, not worrying about injuries, getting guys cheap enough and they all contribute. So that your bottom.
I want to finish with the D, and I will bring you what I want to give you, what my point about them. So
that idea of the 2-3. So the 2-3 is not new, right? It's the left wing lock, which is what Detroit played under Scotty Bowman, and they won cups with that. So it's an interesting idea because the idea behind the 2-3 was that the third forward would stay high in the blue line and read what side the breakout would come out and then would push down and pressure it. So it's like you'd have 2 aggressive forwards, 3 guys back. And I've played the 2-3 with my teams. Like I've done like a left wing lock type forecheck. So putting a D back there that's offensive, it's kind of interesting, right? Because the idea is that, now you've got a guy that he's allowed to pinch up. It's just weird. I mean, how many D are you going to carry?
Yeah.
Like you're going to have to carry probably 8D on a roster and you'll eliminate your fourth line or part of your fourth line. That's probably what would happen on a given night, which maybe there's merit to it. It's interesting. Do you play that with all your lines? I think you take your top 2 and you let them do what they want. And then unless you have like real superstar guys, you're going to put 2 or 3 superstar D with what? You're going to have like Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner and then 3D. Who's going to forecheck?
Yeah, talking about the D, I want to just mention to you that Morgan Riley, D.G. Brody, Jake Musson, Justin Old, whatever they call it,
Oh yeah,
and Nico Letonen and Zach Bokosian. Then they have in the mix Travis Dormat, Martin Marinci, Ramus Sandin, who I really believe he could make it fun some point somehow.
Dean is really good.
Yeah, Timothy Liljegren and Kelly Rosen. So they have a 10th defenseman. My point I want to bring to you today, if you want to go a little bit deeper, you have the goalie Anderson, Jack Campbell, and they signed Aaron Dell, Michael Hutchinson.
Yeah, Hutchinson
this week, the last couple of weeks. So my point too is the shift about depth and a lot with player with they have a little bit more experience, older, but they have a lot of they can shift things, will shift the players.
Oh, yeah.
So it's really interesting what they are doing over there. Honestly, it was just like a surprise to see those guys. That, you know what I mean? Like they are a lot of players they have and they could play very well on other team in NHL right now. Honestly, so I think they will not going to miss too much. Kyle Clifford, Kapanen, and Andres Johnson with what they have right now.
No.
I think they are good. Only see what happened with the salary cap and everything like that. But I just want to mention this about Toronto.
It's interesting. I mean, I think if it works, they're like, how do we know if it works? If they go to the final and win, then it definitely works.
Yeah.
I agree with you about the other guy. Did they have Mikko Lehtinen? Do you know they signed him?
Who?
Mikko Lehtinen, the defenseman. Mm-hmm. So they also signed him. So that's a guy that's capable of playing kind of a 5 to 7 type role that's been playing in. I don't know if he's been in the KHL or Finland. I think he's been in Finland, right? KHL because he's with Jokerit. So like this year with Jokerit, he's got 16 points in 14 games. Last year he had 49 and 60. So they've got a lot of D.
Definitely.
They're interesting. If it works, it's good.
Yeah, and talking about, I'm going to give you another segment with number 2. We're going to start this now. What happening, the history of the November every day. So in the history, today is a birthday to Todd Gill, Bill Guerin, Carl Conardson. I think he played with the Blues right now. He's 34. Zach Sanford and also Yuzo Ricola. He's 27 years old, so they are born. And Todd Gill, if you remember him, he's 55.
Gill.
Yeah. So he 55. He was born November 9. Everything like that. So very interesting about that. I want to mention a couple of things, histories in hockey. Roman Cechmanek. I don't know if you remember him, but he became the first became the first goaltender since 38 and 2000 November 9 to have his first 2 career victories be shut out at the beginning of his career. So he was back-to-back shutout with the Flyers, by the way.
Yeah. He was a pretty good goalie. He had some really good numbers if you look back. I think he had a weird incident where he pulled himself one game. I think that was kind of the end of their trust in him.
Yeah. Another story was pretty funny to talk about this. It was like just blew my mind. Talk about 25 years old, 25 next year, 24 right now. But Greg McDavid scored the final goal in NHL history by a player not wearing a helmet on November 9, 1996.
Can you imagine not wearing a helmet today?
That's like
wow. His hair is like my hair except longer. What's crazy about Cechmanek? If you look at his numbers, the guy was he played 59 games, 46 games, 58 games, 49 games. His save percentage was 921, 921, 925, and then 906 in LA. Like he had legit numbers, and he was a big goalie. It was just strange how he kind of got washed out. All of a sudden, he was no good, apparently. But yeah, he was a good goalie. I mean,
I like to read those every day. I read this because it's remind me a lot. You know what I mean? Like 70s and 80s and 90s. That's where I really, was involved with hockey, or like a lot of stuff. And they have a lot of players. I remember, Ted Lindsay and Alex Delvecchio and Gilbert Perreault and Claude Provo and the punchline right now. They talk about 19. Some game was like 9-2 or 1944.
Oh, crazy. Yeah.
Like, it was crazy to see that. And a big day in Charlie Conacher became in Maple Leaf history to score 100 goal in 1933.
Wow.
And another one right there. I'll give another one right there. You remember him? You're going to start laughing. On November 9, 1974, Orest Kendrachak scored the first penalty shot goal in Philadelphia Flyers franchise history.
What's his name? Horace
Kendrachak. If I'm right, Kendrachak. He was the first player drafted by the Vancouver Canucks, but I could be wrong.
I'd have to look that up. I don't remember. Let's look.
He was like, I believe Vancouver selected him as the first pick.
Oh, really? Let's look.
I believe.
Oh my God, so long ago.
We talk about.
Yeah, I don't see. I think their first ever, let's see, supplemental, 1970 was Dale Talon. Or is it Vancouver or somebody else?
Could be somewhere else, but
let's look. I'm curious now. Horace, right?
Yeah, I could be wrong.
How do you spell Horace? Horace?
O-R-E-S-T.
O-R-E-S.
Yeah. You never.
Orest? I don't know who this is. I can't find it.
Yeah. He was playing NHL in 72 until he played 10 years in NHL.
Interesting.
He played 500 games. But anyway, he scored the first power penalty goal. Every time that. So I just like to watch this, like Tony Esposito and how they talk about, and so it's pretty amazing to see that. But that's what happening there. Honestly, we hit the halfways, and I don't see anything else going on around the league. I don't know if here's something else, but look like same situation everywhere. So let's move on with our 31 days marathon with 31 different teams, and let's move on with today. By the way, we have to mention the Hockey Nation fans, Michael. We did not forget the Las Vegas Knights, Golden Knights. We thought the Vegas going to be at the end with the letter V, because usually they talk more about Vegas Golden Knights everywhere. It's rare they talk Las Vegas Golden Knights. Does it make sense?
Yeah. So I was worried for a second when I was like, oh no, they're not called Las Vegas, they're Vegas. So.
Yeah, exactly. Compared to the Raiders in the NFL, they talk more about the Las Vegas Raiders. They don't call the Vegas Raiders. They really put Las Vegas Raiders. If you follow a little bit more the NFL around, honestly. So that's pretty much.
You mentioned that I am traveling this week. I'm finally getting to scout.
Really?
Yeah, I'm traveling to Phoenix, and I think there's a whole bunch of 2006s this year.
Oh, wow.
So, to see a bunch of teams that I haven't been able to see them yet. So I'm pretty excited about that. There's a lot of hockey.
That's good.
Yep. All right. So this team, I've heard of them before. They're called Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah. It's the one original team, right?
Yeah. One of the original 6. So the Montreal Canadiens, a few years ago, I think, it looked pretty bleak heading into last year, or actually even the year before. Probably the year before, things were not real positive. And they head into the draft, and I think their biggest concern was at center, and then Bergevin pulls out, jumps up in the draft. I think 3rd overall, takes Jesperi Kotkanemi, and he magically makes the team, plays real well. So fast forward, and their strategy over the last, I would say, 5-6 years has been to draft smaller, skilled players, and they've been a little bit controversial about that, because it's like, oh, they got all these Smurfs, but I think what we see is they're able to stay very competitive and they get goals from talented players regardless of their size, and they still have like a world-class goalie, but you got to be worried that you're wasting the Carey Price's career here because you're a bubble team. So they've been pretty aggressive. They brought in a great coach in Claude Julien, who I think's done a great job, as he always has. He's one of the best coaches in the NHL over his career, won a cup in Boston, started out in Montreal. So being back in Montreal, I think he brings a lot of stability. And then this offseason, I like the moves they've made. So starting off with their unrestricted free agents, they signed Tyler Toffoli. They trade a problem in Max Domi to Columbus to get Josh Anderson. And they signed him to what I think was a little bit of a surprising contract, but if he's healthy, then it's fine. I liked bringing in Joel Edmondson. They trade for him before free agency begins and then sign him to a pretty reasonable deal. And then they trade for Jake Allen, which I was surprised that St. Louis did this. So kudos to Bergevin again. And if you look at their high-end young players, we saw Nick Suzuki and Kotkanemi in the playoffs, and they both look like they're ready to take the next step. They have Alexander Romanov coming this year, and there's a lot of anticipation about his ability to make the NHL and stick and be an impact player. And I guess we'll see how that happens, but I'm cautiously optimistic about this. I really like the guy. He's smart with the puck and he's patient. He's a decent skater, and he's got, in World Juniors, we saw him. He looked like a star there. And then in their draft, I think they continue to show that they're very shrewd at the draft table. There's a connection between the Everett Silvertips, by the way. I think I mentioned this, which is our I don't know what Alvin's title is now. Is it Director of Player Personnel? Our Director of Player Personnel at Everett spent 7 years as a scout in that organization. I learned a lot from Alvin. I love working with him. I can just talk about hockey with him all the time. And his insights into how the draft is run and how they evaluate talent. And you can see the fruits of that in the players they've been drafting. Like they draft Caden Gould from the WHL. I really like this pick. He's a big, excellent skating defenseman who can make a good first outlet pass. And we'll see what his offensive upside is, but I think he's tough to play against defensively. So that's a real good prospect. They take Alex Tuck's brother as their second pick. They've got Caden Primo, who was a later round pick, but looks like he's destined to be a number one NHL goalie at some point. Cole Caulfield fell to them last year, and they grabbed a guy that's like a goal a game player and has done very well in the NCAA. I really like the Jan Misick pick. Pilonen, I'm blanking on who that is, but I think that's a typo because I think it's Yolonen. I don't know how a P got in there, but yes, I think it's Yetsi Yolonen, and he looks like he's really good. I'll mention that there's a couple silver tips that are in the midst. They have a history of drafting silver.
Ilonen.
Yeah.
You're talking about the Finland kid defenseman.
Yeah, the finish. I think he's a forward. Is he or is he a D?
Forward. Sorry, he's a forward, right wing. Is it Jesse?
Yeah, he's a real good prospect.
He was the one between Romanov and Kotkanemi in 2018. One of that. I think one you don't talk a lot. I think you forgot. It's one really impressive. Nobody talk a lot. He play in NCAA right now for Northwestern. Is Jordan Harris.
Yeah, I haven't seen him play. Have you seen him play?
Yeah, he's doing well. He will be interesting about that. And then one I think he's not there is Ryan Poland.
Ryan Poling, I mean, he's on the roster that I have projected. I'm not as optimistic about him. I think he came in with a lot of fanfare because he got a bunch of goals, but the reality is, to me, he's a third or fourth line centerman.
The one you're not there. I think you really know him very well. I could be wrong. Oh yeah, he's there.
Juleson.
Yeah.
We're fair. And then, so I mentioned that, being with the tips, we have a couple of Everett Silver tips that are prospects, and I think pretty good ones. Our defenseman Gianni Fairbrother was drafted in the third round by Montreal, and I think he's got a good shot at one day being a Montreal Canadian. He's probably a little ways off, but he's a real solid defenseman. Noah Juleson would be on the roster. He, a couple years ago, took an unfortunate puck to the eye. So we're cautiously optimistic that he'll be able to resume a normal career because he looked like he had already made the team. Noah was the captain in Everett, and he is, man, you would love this guy. Like he's just a real good person, first of all. He's a very tough player. We saw him at the World Juniors, and he plays tough. He can skate. He can contribute a little bit offensively. So we're keeping our fingers crossed for Noah. I think the acquisition of Tatar is, the signing there has really paid off over time. He's actually probably been one of their top, offensive players. Secondary prospects or guys that could make the roster. Cale Fleury looked real good, I thought. Bitten, Hudon, and then Josh Brook, I think, have real chances to kind of contribute.
With the Minnesota Wild right now, he played with Iowa last year, and then Hudon is not going to return with Montreal next season.
No, that's too bad. He's never really – I thought he would turn out to be a decent player, but I guess that hasn't worked out. So if you look at the lineup, one thing that strikes you about it is overall on the forward lines, lots of depth. If you look at their fourth line with Biron, Paul Byron is capable of getting 20 goals, and he's got a pretty sizable contract. You mentioned Poling. You got to I don't think he has the offensive upside that people hope. He's not that creative in my experience, but he's a good skater. He's a big body, and he's down the middle. Lehkonen is capable of being a second or third line winger on this team in the past few years, and now he's.
One I want to mention to you is talk about Poland, but I want to open up the door to you is Jack Evans.
It's funny. I'm trying to project what Jack Evans is. What's your thoughts on that?
It'd be really interesting. Not said he's. You know that the kids play for Vancouver, the 64, the little one,
Victor Mete or no?
No, Motte, Motte.
Oh, Tyler Motte.
All right. So he's a kind of player like him.
That type of guy. Okay, well, that's good. I mean, Tyler Motte is good because he's mean, right?
He's great. I'll be honest with you. I know you're not good. You're not expect a lot from Poland, right?
Yeah.
Not really. I'm honest with you. Evans, as an overall player, is better to run Poland.
Yeah, that's good to know because I think Pauling came in the last game of the season and he scored 3 goals his first game, and I think he got 6 or 8 all of last year. So I think there was a little bit too much excitement there. My experience. Was it 4? Yeah, maybe it was 4.
I think it was 4.
Yeah, but he scored 8 all of last year. He's not like an offensive. To me, he's not skilled enough to be an offensive producer.
But on the flip side, we have to give him something because I think it's very hard when a player come from NCAA come to the NHL and they don't have to play a lot of game in the NCAA. I remember he was very young when he started over there, so he was not at the beginning NCAA the top best player for them, right? And then I think he's going to be a good NHL player at some point.
Yeah, he will be.
But he would not be the top 6. He's going to be at the bottom.
He will be.
He's big. I believe he can play in NHL.
For sure. I don't question that. I think it's just, people got to calm down about what he is.
Yeah, so I agree with you with that one.
So again, the one that's interesting is Philip Dano. He was complaining in the playoffs that, he shouldn't be playing a checking role. He's kind of a two-way player that can contribute offensively. We've seen him flex up to the top line. He can go down as far as a third, and he's effective no matter what. He's like a lowercase Bergeron type player. He can contribute offensively. He's really good on faceoffs. He's a good forward checker, and he can pick up the other team's top player. So there's a lot to like about him. I think people, when they watch him, especially if you're a coach, you really like this player. The Brendan Gallagher contract was not bad. I mean, he's I think people don't realize the offensive contribution he has. As long as he's healthy, he's a 30-goal scorer. Tatar has shown between Nyquist and Tatar, who left Detroit, how good these two guys were. And how you realize how much the talent level in Detroit dropped when they lost them. Yeah. They were kind of maybe overlooked in Detroit in a lot of ways. Now, I do think Thomas scores goals that aren't always necessarily impactful, but he's a consistent offensive producer. He's a consistent 20, 25 goal guy. Bringing in Suzuki, who came in the Paxaretti trade, and I think we see how good he is. He's got okay size. He's a very skilled and good skater, And I don't know what he caps out at. Does he end up being a number 1 or a 2 centerman? I guess that really, we'll see what happens. And I think the same thing with Kotkanemi. Like, it looked like he had a rough start last year. He went down, got some time in the AHL. When he came back for the playoffs, he looked real good. So if he's just, for me, a weird skater. I don't know about what you think, Pierre.
I think on the chart you have now, Suzuki is in front of Kotkanemi, because Suzuki, he has
much better skill,
but also a better vision of the game. Like, he has a great vision. He does a really good. Kotkanemi have still that's part of there, but his defensive side is really where he is. He need to get better. He struggled on defensive side. He did a little bit better at the end of this year. The good thing about them, both of them flourished during the playoff compared to Gallagher and Tatar. Did not do much about that one. Then it will be simple. He's going to shut up. One, they're going to give him $5 million per season, and that'll be that.
That much money?
I'm sorry again?
You think they'll pay him that much?
Yeah.
Well, that would certainly.
For the third center, by the way.
He's what?
It's a lot of money for the center.
Yeah.
But again, he had the time to play on PK or whatever it is, right? And
he's a real good player. I mean, if you like Ryan O'Reilly, why wouldn't you like Philip Dano? He's not as good, but he's got that same characteristic where you can play him in any situation. He's so versatile.
Yep. It is like you talk about O'Reilly, Bergevin, right? And maybe Barkov.
Yeah.
Right. And then you have that second group of people like them, and Dano is the one at the top on the second group over there. That's what I believe he deserves to be at $5 million. Now, did he works? Maybe he can get that money because Montreal have still 2-3 years before Suzuki and Kotkanemi get that kind of money.
Probably, yeah.
And the hierarchy of the line in the center, because if Suzuki struggle or Kotkanemi struggle, they have a Dano can pick up right there and all the way to the end. So I believe that your lineup you put on the chart right now is pretty good. What is interesting is when you look at the left, Toffoli, and the right, Anderson. We know we're missing now Max Domi. I really on that 12 players over there. The only one I think they should let it go now. It's time to probably be around to go at $3-point-something million per season.
And how much time is left on his contract? I forget.
One more.
So my assumption is that, to your point, Dano is already at $3 million. He probably gets.
Oh my God! No, 3 more.
What's that?
3 more years
for Paul Byron.
Yeah,
that's why I was concerned about that at 3.4.
Yeah,
so but he's a very good player. It just you got to think he's going to get bumped down in the lineup, and it's he can score, and he's a good aggressive guy, and he's worn an A for the team for a reason.
The problem he got is he got injuries. He concussion the year back to back now. So I really believe now So I think that's what he got too much money for what he brings. But you remember he got $3.4 million because he got, if I don't have his stats in front of me, but I think he have a back-to-back 20 goals, back-to-back goals.
No,
so before the game, I think so. So that's the reason why I believe they make a mistake. But finish with your defenseman. I know I cut you, change the subject.
That's right. Yeah, so you're right. Like, he had 22 goals, 20 goals last year. He had a bad year because of injuries, and the year before he was hurt. But even the year before, he had 15 goals in 56 games.
That's the one. Almost 3 seasons of 20 goals, right?
Yeah. And there's a reason he gets that money, but he is 31 and he's a smaller player and he plays an aggressive style. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Tatar is going to be an unrestricted free agent. Dano is going to be unrestricted. Army is going to be unrestricted. You got to think Jordan Wheel's probably done.
Oh yeah, Will is gone there. The only thing you talk about is maybe the problem they get is the money they have to give next year. 3 players where they are top 9 in their lineup. I believe Tatar could be the last season with Montreal.
Who?
Thomas Tatar.
That's what I was going to say. Like, plus you've got an expansion draft coming up, so it'll be really interesting to see what happens. Like, he's 29 now. He can play both wings. He's an effective offensive guy, but I mean, if they re-sign him, it wouldn't surprise me, but it can't be much more than what he's making.
I agree with you.
Yeah. And the defense is interesting. We'll go back and take a look at it. First of all, Shea Weber has been an excellent performer for them, as has Jeff Petrie. Weber still has a lot of years on his contract, but he gets by because he's a big guy. He's smart with his stick. He's hard to play against, and he's got a huge shot. And that trade for PK Subban's looking pretty good, despite the age difference. Like
the last 2 years, this trade, it was by far. The first year, remember when PK played in Nashville, the team made the semifinal, the final, all the way. And that year was like PK Rene was like, Martin brother. And everybody was sad because Subban was there and everybody, right? So he looked like in that year, I believe Sean Weber got hurt back-to-back year. Ankle, everything like that. So he would have looked bad. But the last year, honestly, Weber is a general.
He's the general. He is the general, right? Like he leads by example. You're going to listen to him because he's a monster physically. He had 15 goals again last year. He had 14 the year before. He was injured the prior year and only had 6, but that was only in 26 games. So if you look at this guy, you can bank on 15 goals and 20 assists on the guy, maybe more.
It's always been about 15 to 20 goals per season. But the way he remind me, because you are with Toronto, Detroit, me with Montreal. You remind me what Larry Robinson did for Montreal.
That's a good comparison.
Yep.
I like that comparison.
Yep.
I like Petrie is a guy that was kind of cast out in Edmonton, like everything else, where they don't, they kind of like anoint them, and then this guy's been a very good performer for them. I mean,
I think that's what we don't give enough credit to Mike Bergevin.
No, that's why I say, like, overall. Now it's not like I don't know if they're in contention for anything, but he understands talent, and they have a lot of other guys there, like Trevor Timmins understands young talent. And
you know what I mean? Like you always hockey, how this works, Michael, but you always evaluate a GM with the performance of the team, right? If you make the semifinal, the conference final, you go away, but the GM look good, right? But if you really microscopic what happening with this trade and the play he did and all the fun trade he did, and look what he has right now, that's what Marc Bergevin is. Because Weber, the only one there he lost and he don't look good right now is Jonathan Drouin again. I was
going to say the same, but it's not like horrible. Like Drouin has produced offensively for them,
but not good enough to represent that team.
No, Sergachev you knew was going to be a star, and he is what he is.
The rest, look, if you look on the forward, right, Tatar with Suzuki, they came from Vegas, again, max Pacioretty, right? Philip Dano, a second-round pick, trade with Chicago. That's, Gallagher, fifth-round pick right there. John Anderson, they trade again, Max Domi. We'll see what happened in there. Then Toffoli was a UFA this season. Drouin again, Sergachev, that's maybe the only one over there. Kotkanemi is the third-round pick. Joe Armia came with Steve Mason with nothing. They nothing against them part over there. So they get that one over there. Poland and Luukkonen is a draft pick. Paul Biron got from waiver list from Calgary.
Yeah.
Imagine that one there. Now you can go Weber, you can Subban. That's great. Ben Chariot
from Winnipeg. Yeah.
That UFA, that's amazing. The other black ice he got is the signature that Alsner for 4 years at 4 point something. That's what he killed Mike Bergevin. Then Petrie got a second-round pick against him. That's pretty good. I think Edmondson, I'm still not sure about that one over there. But Kulak, Weber
solid, right? And Kulak's solid. Like they're not,
like
the problem here is
he made 2 big mistakes in the beginning. I believe Sergachev again. Drouin is going to be always remembered because Sergachev is going to be a top
for sure.
And then the signature of Alsner. So every time you talk about Bergevin, people
minor things.
But look what he did. That team, half of them is coming from trade where Bergevin went.
Well, even connect the dots on. So they trade Galchenyuk to get Domi. Domi has a huge year. Domi shows last year he has to play center to be effective offensively, which doesn't surprise me. And then Domi's cranky, so they move him and they get Anderson. So as long as Anderson plays like he was before the injury, he's probably won that, because I would rather have Josh Anderson than Alex Galchenyuk.
Remember what you said, Michael, at the beginning of the show. Montreal play with a lot of small players.
Yeah.
Now turn around now. Look what they're lined up on the winger side. Now they have
a little bigger.
Side, like Gallagher, right? Or he give it to you, right? But look, look, Joel Armia. We don't give enough credit.
He's tall.
Armia is a 20 score right there.
Yeah, he's good.
You know what I mean? And so we talk about this. I think they have Tatar and Toffoli, 6 foot, both of them.
He's a heavy body.
Yeah. So, and defensemen, they are maybe the top 5 bigger guy on defensemen. If you look about them, Colette, Pedri, Edmondson, Chariot, and Weber, it's all about 6'2" and plus.
Yeah, they're all big. Yeah.
So
I think the question is, they've been relying on Carey Price to be their star. I don't know if that takes them. First of all, is this a playoff team? I think so.
No, they are.
But then what?
The only problem, I said, Michael, the only problem is that they play in maybe the best conference division.
Like, you look at that conference and it's like Death Valley.
You have 4. You have Toronto. You have over there, right? So that's right there. And then you have Boston over there.
Yep. Now I think Boston will fall back a little bit.
A little bit. I agree with you. This year, I think they will be a little bit struggle about that one over there. But again, it's just like, and then now you go back on your salary cap, because you did a very good job on that one over there. So you go there. This year they still have Gallagher at 3.4, 3.7, I believe, and then they have also I have another one I was mentioned. Chariot at 3.5 for what he bring on the table. It's not expensive a lot over there.
No, they've done a good job on the cap. I mean, if their most expensive player is Weber at 7.8, you don't like the fact that he's got 4 years. What's that?
It's called Eisner, 3.9.
Yeah, but that's going to go away. They waited and bought it out. Carl get a chance to play somewhere. He's just not a great skater, and he never was. And he was kind of
check their salary 2020, 2021 on.
Sorry, I totally forgot that Carey Price is getting 10.5 until
check their salary forward. They have nobody over $5.5 million.
Right, that's the thing. So I think it clears out a bunch of room in a year. You'll make decisions on, you'll probably re-sign Dano. You'll decide what you do with Lehkonen and Armia. Jordan gone.
I will be honest with you, Michael. Right away at the bat, they're going to lose. They're going to give away $8 million out because Jake Allen's going to be saddled.
Yep.
All right, and then you're going to have Alsner now out for at least $2 million. So they get now $6.5 million right there. Right now, you're going to lose also Will. Will is going to be 1.4, so it's now
they're in good shape.
There, and I would believe maybe you may be going to lose maybe Tatar on that one over there. So they're going to be $100.
So if you think about it, you go, listen, they're going to protect 4D. Who are the 4D? They'll decide. They'll protect Carey Price, obviously, and then they'll probably have 4 forwards, right? They'll expose Drouin. If Anderson pans out, they'll keep him. They'll keep Toffoli. They'll keep Gallagher.
They will expose They're going to expose Biron.
Right.
Right? They're going to
guys.
Yeah.
Do they have to expose Suzuki and Kotkanemi? I think they do.
They cannot.
So they have to protect them, right?
No, I don't think so. They are. I think they have still. I don't think so. I think it's 3 years to come. I could be wrong. I think they're
pretty aggressive. I think it was 1 or 2. We'll have to check into that because I have a feeling that you have to protect your young guys, and that's why a lot of them are trying to, like Detroit, for example. You can see what they're doing. They're loading up on older guys to bury their young guys for another year, and then they'll bring them all in. But I'm not sure. There's something weird in that draft. It's very aggressive for Seattle. Like Seattle have some good players to pick. It's funny. Did you see the post I made about?
Yeah.
You look at what is possible. It's crazy. So, anyways, if you look at this, I kind of did the voodoo math on this team. You've got to project them in kind of that 90, 95 point range. And that should get them in the playoffs. And then you'll see what damage they do. They have lots of depth. You've got to think that they're going to score by committee. And then as long as Anderson's healthy, he should be in the 2024 goal range. Same with Toffoli. Same with Gallagher. The health is going to matter. The defense, I'm probably under projecting on Weber because he's probably closer to 15. So you probably got to bank on him at being 15 because that's what he always is, right? So overall, their scoring, this should get them in the right range,
Yep.
And even Petrie, if you look at Petrie, I'm probably under projecting here because he hasn't scored less than 10 goals in 3 years. You can see they kind of tick up, and they're one of the better offensive teams in the league. And then you've got to think with Allen taking some games off of Price, maybe they crack 100 points. It's very possible. Like the differential here is very big. Like if they have a 30 goal differential between goals for and goals against, maybe they crack 100.
Yeah,
I think the division's tough though.
A good point earlier, like a couple of minutes ago, Jack, about Boston's not going to be Boston.
They'll drop a little bit.
So I think Montreal can be that kind of Boston, not like because they won the
preseason. They'll benefit from that.
They would be benefit about that one over there.
I agree.
But on the list you have there, they still have, you don't talk about Mete over there. You don't talk about Jack Evans. You don't talk about Jack Evans over there. And I think you mentioned at the bottom, Yosen, you just put 5+5 over there. Yosen, he could be the guy can pick it up. Kolak, I believe Kolak could be or Romanov. I'm not sure if Romanov is ready to go there.
Not sure.
You know what I mean? So really interesting. You point over there. It's a 95+ team over there.
I think so.
And on the Laval, they have Poland over there. You put on the lineup over there. I think Wylunin is a one. We're very be interesting to see what happened with him over there. I think we don't talk enough about. But Jake Evans is on your list at the bottom here. You know what I mean? I think they are like they tried last year. Luke Veldemo, but I think is not. I didn't see him really well over there. And the defensive side, I think you'll be interesting to see what Fleury is not on your top list. He played a 30 game, I believe, last season. And then where he brings experience. He have a lot of years in NHL. I think he played a couple of years with Detroit, if I can recall it.
Yep. He was in Detroit. They let him go.
Yep. So
I Noah Juleson. If Noah's healthy, then he should be. He's probably better than one or two.
One is strong on defensive side. On the goalie side, you still have Kaden Primoz coming.
That's the one that you're like.
You have also McNiven and Lindgren. Lindgren have a lot of experience. Like, he did well, and again, you talk about one thing Bergevin did a lot, it maybe burned him a little bit. He tries to sign old player like the last minute, like Kinkin, they tried years ago, and then they get like, I don't know, like the Russian player Alexander Simmon. Did that work, right? He tried to bring the kids from Minnesota. He played with Buffalo, and we did like 17 at some point. Did pretty good on offensive. They trade on the deadline. He did not sign with Montreal. He played with Islanders. Jesus. He played with Cedar Rapids and USHL.
The Russian guy?
No, not a Russian. Simon is a Russian. I'm talking about the American from Minnesota. He played USHL for Cedar Rapids with Montreal for 3 months. He did well in the playoff. Did not resign with Montreal. He played well with Buffalo Islanders.
Like last year or when?
No, a couple of years ago.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, so they tried to bring a couple of players like this the last minute, and then work very well. To match up whatever it's right. We talk about Kovalchuk. They did last season. I think it was pretty good. They may be thinking about this. The rumor yesterday I heard they may be thinking about Corey Perry.
I mean, why not?
You know what? That's the words. Why not? I really believe it's better to have Perry compared to Kovalchuk.
I don't know. They both have problems just from, but I think you're going to take Perry over Kovalchuk.
I'll tell you why. Because I believe Galchenyuk need to be on the top 9 players.
Yeah, Kovalchuk to me is risky. Like, he has the ability to poison your team if he's not happy and grumpy.
Yeah.
He looks like a superstar, so the players look at him and think, "Oh my God, he should be the best player here."
So you take the top 9 right now. Who can you take off right now for please Galchenyuk? You know what I mean? So you cannot do that.
I don't know.
So at the flip side, I would say to you, it's better to have a Corey Perry at 34, 36 years old, can be the dirty job. It can be at the 4 line. I'll be honest with you, I would prefer to have Corey Perry in the playoff at Biron.
Than who?
Biron.
I don't know. I like Byron, but I think Jonathan Drouin, to me, I'd rather have
on the playoff. He doesn't bring that dirty job. Check the lineup. Who's going to be like the dirty job right now?
Nobody.
So that's what I'm talking about. That's why I said Corey Perry compared to Kovalchuk. He will do that kind of stuff.
No, and I totally agree with you. That's why I say, like, I think Corey Perry's less risk at this point. He's going to cost you not very much money. He's got veteran presence. He wants to win, and we saw what that happened last year in Dallas. Like, Perry and Pavelski really powered that Dallas team in a lot of ways.
Yep.
And I think Jonathan Drouin in the playoffs, like, do you care? Like, he's not going to help you.
By the way, I want to mention something else, and you'll be surprised about this. Maybe you knew. Montreal have 14 picks next year.
Isn't that crazy?
And that in this year they picked 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And the year before it was 11. Right? And the year before it was 11.
And they got some real good players in there. Like, I like Gould, I like Tuck, I like Misak. Jack Smith will be interesting to watch. Blake Biondi's decent. You look at Caulfield, and you've got to project him being a real high-end goal scorer at some point. I don't know Struble. Norlinder, I've watched a little bit. I like Fairbrother, of course.
You talk about him, remember this name. Mattias Norlinder is doing very well in Sweden.
Exactly. I like him. I don't know what he projects at in the NHL, but he should play. And Kotkanemi and Ylonen, and then you got Romanov. Like, how do you complain about that? You mentioned Jordan Harris. I don't really know him too much. But, they've done a real good job in drafting. I mean.
Yeah, he did. They don't give a, they always.
And then Josh can play. So you've got Brooke and Ryan Poling. I mean.
Yeah, the problem they get is because Montreal, they want French Canadian players, right? So every time they make something like that, they always jumping on Trevor Timmins because he pick always a guy from, who plays, everything like that, like, you know what I mean? So, but they struggle a little bit on year 15, 14, and 13.
This is
a tough one over there. One thing they did well, De La Rose never been the players they expect. Honestly, they didn't make a mistake with Zachary Fricol and Connor Scripps. Is a bad story about Connor Scripps because he got sick, if I remember. I don't know if you know his story. Yeah. And then also the Martin Rayway, it's another one. I have a bad story about his healthy side. So 2 years right there. Then they trade Colbert against Stefan Matto a couple of years ago. Then you talk about healthy. Talk about the story about Tim Boson for the Kamloops.
That was crazy.
Something like that, right?
Terrible.
So you know what I mean? Like
you brought up Jacob De La Rose, and that was the point where things changed. Because if you look at the prior years, if you talk to Alvin will, say, we're looking for skill. We don't care about size. Don't even talk to me about the guy's size. What's his skating skill and sense? And what kind of jam does he have? We don't care how big he is. Because you look at this draft in 2013, Lehkonen turned out ahead of all these guys, and his profile is smaller, gritty, right? So he fit that mold a little bit. De La Rose is not panned out. He's a big guy, not real creative. Fucale was overrated. McCarron, right? You like, oh my God, he's 6'5", he can score. No. So then Sherbak was like skilled baby, like just a big baby, you know.
And Ricardo did pretty good for the pick number 86. You know what I mean? But they have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pick, and 3 of them played over 200 games. That's pretty good. And then one and McCarron never been that kind of player over there. De La Rose was, it's sad because he have a lot of talent inside that body, but never been that kind of finish player.
He doesn't have the quickness, like as Alvin says, he doesn't have snap on the puck.
Yep.
He's slow to move stuff. He's a big guy, and I think Detroit did the best because they acquired him. I thought he played fine in Detroit. He's not going to get you points. He's good at what he does. He's a big centerman. And then they flipped him and got Fabry.
All right. That's another win for my zone. It'll be interesting what happens about that. The great day today was great. Talk about my team. It was like interesting to follow them, and I can't wait for next season. What's going on? But another great show today, and you know, you bring a lot on the table today. It would be great. And then tomorrow we have to move on to the, I don't know, New York maybe.
One of them. Which New York? Probably
Rangers. Or New York or New Jersey. No, New Jersey.
Let's take a look. One HIJ. So it's probably Islanders and then Jersey and then Rangers?
No, it's New Jersey before New York because the New York is Y. New Jersey is J.
Tomorrow is the Nashville Predators.
That's true.
So we have Nashville, New Jersey, Islanders, Rangers, and then we get out of the N's into the O's with Ottawa.
All the P after that.
And then Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, etc. Yeah.
Yep. Getting interesting right there. Well, a lot of Eastern time, Eastern Conference right there. It'll be interesting to see those teams, honestly. So another great show. Don't forget, everybody, Monday to Friday, we are on the daily show, 11 a.m. Eastern time. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and also on the Facebook. Another great show, Michael. Thanks to be here with us. Happy Monday, everybody. Look forward to see you tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Have a good one.
Thanks, everybody.